Hey guys, happy Friday. Hope you've had a great week. The theme for this week has been releasing external validation. And this is something that I've been thinking about a lot this week and reflecting on, as it's one of the main areas that I'm focusing my attention on at this moment. And I've been thinking about some things in terms of the state of society, the state of social connection, the state of dating, friendship, family. There's a lot of tension in society, and many people are lonely all around the world, in the UK, in the US, in Europe, in some Asian countries as well. It's how the world is changing and the way that we have to adapt to get on in this new world. And it really does pose to you some challenges because there are some contradictory things that need to be sorted out when you're on this journey of reparenting in this day and age. And so something that is so important for our ability to feel a sense of safety, to maintain a sense of groundedness, is that we must learn to release our need for external validation, especially our dependence on it. Now, it's not to say that, we don't ever need external validation and we should just write it off to devalue it totally. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you need to learn to develop this internal source of energy from within yourself so that it radiates out from you. It's an actual energetic shift that needs to happen, because it is this energetic shift, your lack of fulfillment, your lack of your ability to hold on to your own joy despite your circumstances, your dependence on others, behaving in a certain way, treating you in a certain way in order to feel joy and positive emotions. That is your power. And what attracts abusers, narcissists, and exploitative people to you, if you're in this path of reparenting, is that is one of the key signs that they can tell this person can be exploited, advantaged, used, taken advantage of. They will see I'm still working on it myself, how to observe it in other people and even in myself. But it's one of the things I've been reading in terms of how to increase self-protection, which is most important for all of us, so that we can actually work through the trauma that we have instead of being continuously traumatized, right? That's the first step. So in terms of keeping yourself safe from a refathering perspective, learning how to read people, because your lack of energy or enthusiasm or aliveness is what signals to those predators that you are an easy target, that you are wounded. And so, as we know, the world is a stage. And as Kafka said, I was ashamed when I realized life was a costume party and I came with my real face. There is some level of performing that is innately required in life. That's not bad. Life is literally a play. And even though many people are pushing authenticity, I don't know if it's quite necessarily safe in the society, the state of the society, to do that. You must be sure that you're doing that in the right places, with the right people, and at the right time, and to the right degree. Because too much authenticity can definitely be a vulnerability trap. For example, exposing your weaknesses or your pains or your struggles with people that have not earned your trust is not the best idea. And so it does require a certain level of acting, performing, being fake. And that's just something that we have to accept about life. Many people say that, when you're in the process of healing your trauma, as again I've discussed, I think the way that most therapists and society are discussing healing at this moment is very misleading. What is most important is that you return to yourself, you're centered, grounded, and in your power, so that you are unmoved by the outside world. As again, if you're thinking about the Romans 12:2 verse, do not be conformed, do not be changed by this world, but be reformed by the renewing of your mind. And so what that means is you can allow your past experiences, the old man, to keep impacting how you see the world and how you behave in the world. So if you had a lot of past experiences of neglect, abuse, or abandonment, you're still carrying those emotions with you on a daily basis, which affects your vibration, which is the definition of the energy that is coming off of your body. Other people can pick this up subconsciously, and that is how they know how to respond and treat you. And so it's very important that we learn to gain a grasp on this. It's so important. And in order to do that, it requires a level of assertiveness, aggressiveness, boldness, egotism that might be a bit uncomfortable for most trauma survivors. Most trauma survivors are very, very uncomfortable with the idea of causing other people pain. Now, of course, some people who were abused still go on to become abusers and abuse other people as well, to treat them how they were treated. But many people also become afraid of causing other people pain or negative emotions. And this is another sign that abusers and manipulators, exploiters, will observe in you. If you're not willing to face conflict, to stand up for yourself, if you don't have an edge, if you don't have grit, if there's not a beast within inside you, literally a beast, as Jordan Peterson says, as however controversial as he might be, he's true. You must have that beast inside of you. That shows to others that you will stand up for yourself, that you will protect yourself, that you are not weak or cowardly, someone that can be walked on and used like a doormat. You must be able to share this. And the troubling part is, as I said before, most people who are in the process of reparenting or have childhood trauma, developmental trauma, feel uncomfortable with causing people pain. But that is the price of standing up for yourself. You have to be willing to make other people uncomfortable. You have to be a little bit more egotistical, even though you might shudder at that. But that is actually what most people who are in the process of reparenting need, because we lack the repeated validation over years, acceptance, and belonging that would have naturally built this. Now you can accept your current situation and your past and continue to project that going forward, but I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be listening to this podcast if that was what you really wanted to do. You want to change, you want to grow, stretch, and challenge yourself. And that really requires, if you think about the work of Neville Goddard, who is always talking about living as if you already have attained your desires, and Brian Withers, who says that we can do that because the way the world works is the energy that we send out is what attracts things to us, circumstances, situations, and people. And so if we're emitting the right signal, which is the frequency and emotion of joy, happiness, fulfillment, peace, then we're attracting better situations to us. Neville Goddard says in his story when he was speaking to Abdullah, and Neville said he needed to go to Barbados to see his brother, but he didn't have money, and his teacher, Abdullah, kept telling him, you are in Barbados. You are already in Barbados. Forcing, even though Neville Goddard and Abdullah were both in New York City, he kept repeating to him over and over and over and over, and you are already in Barbados. It seems arrogant, it seems egotistical, it seems narcissistic. But that is the secret. Narcissism is not always bad. Egotism is not always bad. I'm not telling you to live with the intention of hurting or exploiting others. But at a certain point, we have to observe the world in which we're living and realize that we are not strong enough to fight the forces or the flow of society. Now, when you grew up in a dysfunctional family, perhaps you have some idealistic, understanding of how the world should work, how things should be, how you want to treat people, how you want to be treated. That's all very well and nice, but that doesn't change how the real world works. And it becomes so important that we learn to take back control. Because until you can do that and stand in your power, you're going to be struggling with this. You're going to be fighting yourself. You're going to be fighting the world. The world that we're in right now, particularly the social world, is quite devastating. Families turning against each other. Partners using and exploiting each other. It's almost as if sadism has become the new sex. People get more pleasure from the act of causing someone pain so that they can feel a feeling of superiority. That causes people to have more pleasure than sex at this point. particularly in the West. People are out of patience, out of energy, out of time, out of emotions. There is no compassion or empathy left in this society. Not none, but very, very limited amount. And so you have to be aware of that most people are in survival mode. Most people are not healing. Most people have chosen darkness. Most people have chosen vampirism and black magic. That is what our culture has fostered in the society. And you can't ignore that. Because if you do, you'll be going into this dark forest full of wolves with the kind, gentle nature of a white bunny rabbit. Devoured immediately. So again, I'm not telling you have to be a dark magician to follow this left-hand path, but you have to be aware of that and how to protect yourself. And you can also learn how to leverage it in certain situations to keep yourself safe, as well as to build and strengthen yourself. Because if there is no one that you can rely on now, if your families have fallen through, if your friendships and relationships have fallen through, and you are the only one truly who has your back on this journey, and the support that you have received is insufficient, you must be the one to build it yourself. And that does look a lot like becoming a narcissist or an egotist. Again, the point here is not to become an abuser or an exploiter or someone who treats people like shit. The point is to learn how to empower yourself, how to build your own ego, how to validate yourself, and how to stay grounded in your self-worth, regardless of how people treat you, regardless of what resources you have or what circumstances you find yourself in. And so today I'm going to be sharing a portion of a video from Tim Fletcher, who is talking about the importance of internal validation and how people get caught in this trap of seeking external validation. We'll only listen to a portion of this lecture. You can click on the link in the show notes to listen to it in its entirety, which I do encourage. So without further ado, let's listen to Tim Fletcher.
We're looking at life traps or patterns of survival that children developed in early childhood because of the danger of their neglect or abuse, and they allowed them to survive. But now what they have found in adult life is that those very survival skills and tools and the patterns that developed in their thinking and emotions and behavior are now really messing up their adult relationships and their adult life. And so they go to change them, or they want to change them, but there's something in them that keeps drawing them back to repeat them, and they find that they're prisons. And so tonight I want to look at two that I'm going to really combine, and it's approval seeking and attention seeking. And they're not identical, but they overlap, and there's similar core issues, and so that's why I want to put them together. So approval seeking is, I need you to like me. I need you to approve of me. I need you to admire me, to respect me. Attention seeking is, I just need you to see me. Now, hopefully when you see me, you're going to approve of me and respect me and admire me. But that's not the top priority. I'm just desperate to be seen. So let me give you an example. Take a girl, a very beautiful girl, but she grows up in complex trauma and has never felt totally seen or totally loved. But what she has learned early on in life is that she gets a lot of positive attention from men when she flirts or when she wears something provocative. And she loves that attention. She doesn't get it at home, and so it just feels so good. And it gives her a feeling of being desirable. It gives her a feeling of power, that she can wrap these people around her finger now. It's a wonderful feeling for her. But over time, she begins to realize that all of the attention she gets is people aren't really seeing her. They're just seeing her sexuality, and all the attention is physical, sexual. And so she begins to resent that. She begins to feel used. And so she realizes, wow, they still don't see me. They only see a fantasy of me. And so she decides, I'm going to quit this. I'm going to quit being provocative. I'm going to quit flirting. I don't want this kind of attention. But she also sees that she's been manipulating men to try to get them to give her attention. And she's really, really upset with herself about how she's manipulated people all her life. And so she decides to quit, and she's proud of her decision, and she goes for a week without flirting or doing anything provocative. But the problem is nobody gives her attention. Nobody fawns over her. Nobody gives her that look. And all of a sudden, all of the old feelings of being unseen and unloved and not worth anything and not being desirable all come flooding back. But she doesn't want to give in to flirting because she knows that leads to sexual, physical desires in others. And so she decides, I'm going to just sit in this feeling of being unloved and unseen and not desirable, this loneliness. I'm just going to sit in it. And maybe over time, people begin to see me for who I am. So she sits in it for a week and she still doesn't get any attention. After a while, she goes, I can't live like this. This is too much. I need to be desired. I need attention. I love that feeling. And so she goes back to flirting and doing provocative things. And so she hates it, but she can't stop doing it. She wants to quit doing it, but she has to do it. It's become a prison for her. So that's what we're talking about here. Now, when we talk about this attention seeking and this approval seeking, there's really kind of two types. There's the very overt, in your face. They don't hide the fact that they're trying to get attention, be the center of attention, be noticed, be approved of, looking for compliments. And then there's the very covert, where they drop hints. They fish for compliments without really coming out and saying that they're fishing for compliments. They put themselves down, but really it's so that you'll build them up and say, oh no, you're wonderful. They give you gifts. They do little things for you, hoping that you will approve of them and give them compliments. So it's very much covert. So some people go to that very overt, others are very covert. Then what you will notice is it can work itself out in different ways. And some can have a variety of these ways. Some can only kind of major on one of these ways. But some, their attention seeking and approval seeking is very much in the verbal realm. They're bragging, they're telling stories, sensational stories. They're gossiping in order to get noticed and get approval. So it's always kind of with their words. Others, they rely more on their actions. So they serve others, they accomplish things and look for rewards, and they look for recognition because of that. Others rely on their position. So if they get in a position that's prominent, a position that's prestigious, then they're going to get noticed, they're going to get approval. So it's very much seeking position for them. Others, it's very much in social settings. They just impulsively do things to grab the limelight, to get noticed, to get approval. So it's very much within social settings, certain behaviors. And then others, they don't even try to do things to get kind of direct attention on themselves. They just try to become friends with somebody who gets lots of attention and approval, and then just kind of be in their shadow and hope that, like the moon, the glory of the sun will shine on them and people will notice them because they're connected to this superstar. So those are different avenues that people have for gaining attention and approval. So what's important to understand is the common factor in both of these life traps is that one's identity, sense of self-esteem, is dependent primarily on the reactions of others, not on one's own sense of inherent value. So I need others to approve of me in order to feel good about myself. I don't have that feeling good about myself inherently within me. And so all of behaviors are trying to get others to keep feeding my need to feel good about myself. And so the person doesn't develop a secure sense of self. They continue to depend on others to provide the feelings of self. So it often then includes this overemphasis on status, appearance, social acceptance, money, achievement, any kind of thing that will gain them approval, gain them attention. So somebody has said this: these children tend to do well in school and be well behaved because they're seeking approval. They also tend to be accepted into social groups easily, as they are either helpful and accommodating or impressive and high achieving. As such, and this is the key point, having the approval seeking, recognition seeking schema or life trap as a child often goes unnoticed. It often is seen as a positive quality. It is often seen as a good thing. Instead, it is usually within late adolescence and adulthood that the individual will start feeling the strain of continually acting in a way to gain approval or recognition instead of behaving authentically. In other words, people don't see this life trap as a problem until later in life. And then they start to realize there's just a constant stress and anxiety that they're feeling, and that they never feel they can be their authentic selves.
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. As I mentioned earlier, click on the link in the show notes to listen to the full episode in its entirety. He has a lot of excellent content. Coming back to self-validation, building your ego, building your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-respect, without support. That takes a lot of aggressive action, a lot of assertiveness, a lot of willingness to be bold and dominant. You have to be powerful for yourself. You have to show up for yourself. You have to prove to yourself by changing your own thoughts, beliefs. You have to tell yourself a new story. You are the creator of your reality, and you have that power. You don't need anyone else's permission to exist as you want to exist. It's kind of like when your parents don't see you or acknowledge you, support you, nurture, abandonment, neglect. You spend your whole time from this childhood's perspective looking up at people. Oh, please accept me. Please accept me. Please accept me. What you need to do is learn how to stand up fully as an adult, and in a way, as opposed to looking up to people, reaching for their acceptance and approval, you need to learn to look down on them and to see relationships and connections more strategically. A lot of sheltered people don't understand that. You have also the power to use people. Sounds a little bit aggressive also from people coming from a traumatic background. Again, you have a fear of causing other people negative feelings. And most other people don't. In fact, many people celebrate others for abusing and exploiting and manipulating others. There are many people in society who actually celebrate others who do that. We're at that point in this society where love is almost dead. True love. Everything is me, me, me. What can I get? How can you benefit me? How can I extract the most from you while giving the least? This is the ethos of this society that we're in right now. And you have to be aware of that, and you have to be able to use that for your advantage. And so you have to be unapologetically, boldly on your side. No exceptions. No exceptions. You must be on your side, because if you're not, no one else is going to be. Validate yourself. Confirm yourself. It's not looking down on people as if they're less than you, but looking down on them in the sense of you have the capacity to also be in a place of judging, is this person good for you or not? Not what only can I get from you, shifting 100% to a transactional relationship, but also be very, very clear on what value someone is adding in your life. Because if you don't do that with all your connections, that's how you end up in abusive and exploitative situations. You must know what is in your best interest, and you must pursue what is within your best interest, ruthlessly, without apology. And so I'm losing my voice a bit today, so I'm going to end it here and wrap it up. Even though there's a lot more I would like to say, maybe I'll make another short episode at some point in the future to dive deeper into this topic. But you don't need anyone else's approval or validation. You need to be bold. You need to be confident. You need to be more narcissistic, not a person with MPD who hurts others, of course, but in the society that has decided to value and glorify narcissism, you cannot continue to swim in the sea of codependency with no sense of self, or a sense of self that is continuously dominated and abused, exploited by other people. That will lead you down a very, very, very bad path. And so you need to return to your aggressiveness, your willingness to fight, to have grit, to stand up for yourself and to be powerful and to display your power. So that's it for today. Don't forget to have some fun this weekend. And don't forget, you don't need anybody's fucking permission to live fully as yourself, boldly and unapologetically. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.